Hello and welcome back to the Double M Radio Wrestlecast. We're back again.
It's time.
It's time. AEW Revolution 2022 happened. It was very good. And spoilers for the show, but it's very good. We're going to talk about
at this point?
every match, including the buy-in, and give our thoughts, as well as determine who won the weird Double M Radio Wrestling Prediction Championship non-existent belt.
Yeah.
Great.
Great.
So, our first match, we're going to start off with the buy-in Layla Hirsch versus Chris Statlander.
Yeah, it was. I think it was about as expected as I thought. You know, Layla going with a lot more grounded offense, like trying to get her down the ground, do some submissions on her. Chris Statlander trying to show off a lot more of her power, and yeah, it's like, you know, it was a pretty on the short match. I don't think it went like longer than 10 minutes.
It was, I think it was slightly over 10. It was like 12 or 13,
Okay.
I want to say.
All right. But yeah, it was pretty good. You know, like biggest spots were, you know, the Hurricane Rana that Layla did to Chris.
Which looked great.
Well, yeah, it was
seriously.
awesome. That was on the ringside and then throwing her out. Chris Statlander picking Layla up for the putting her on her shoulders and slamming her down. That was pretty sick. And then yeah, the match ended with what I thought was a wrench initially, but I guess it was a turnbuckle.
Yeah, it's the turnbuckle, but it's the part that connects the steel cabling to the post.
Yeah.
And it's just like that bit.
Yeah, interesting choice for a weapon for sure. But you know, Layla hit her with it in the head while the ref didn't see it. Hit the moonsault, and that was it.
Yeah, I thought this was pretty good. I think the crowd was not super into this one, relatively speaking.
Yeah, I also think if you took a look around, like there just wasn't also like not everyone was in their seats yet, so I think a little bit of column A, column B, unfortunately, but that's gonna happen. Whoever's like first on the pre-show is people are still getting.
It is a shame because this was like I think a pretty solid match, considering this is definitely not the end point from the way this ended.
Yeah,
I'm curious to see how they spin this off into a story.
I think just like the whole and entirety of the buy-in has that kind of stigma from past buy-ins that maybe have not been the most like interesting to watch. The earlier ones, especially, where they're just like video packages for 45 minutes on loop and then like a single match or something. But this one especially is like it's kind of a shame that people weren't really ready for it to actually be good, because I think I said this to both of you. It was just like a nice free episode of Rampage, pretty much.
Yeah,
it was like
exactly.
The same length,
with
same
no
like quality, honestly. Yeah.
It was great.
And it's on YouTube, I'm pretty sure. So
yeah, whole thing's on YouTube. So I was checking to make sure our prop bets were correct. So this time, our prop bet for this match was that Statlander would kick out a number of times. I also, for this, I ended up counting submissions instead of kickouts because there was only one real kickout spot. Because they were on the outside for a lot of this match, so there wasn't a whole lot of penning happening until Layla won. So I counted instead submissions that Statlander escaped in the ring, which were 2. It was not as much as I thought it would be, and I think it was the same submission twice, just at different times of the match. So with that, Ryan, you're up by 2 at this moment. You got both things right here. The lowest estimate of Statlander kicking out and Layla Hirsch winning. Any other thoughts about this match before we move on? Because we got a lot to talk about.
I think, well, at least one other thing related to this match gets brought up later for like matches are going to be happening. You know, that got like announced later in the show. I don't know. But yeah, you know, nothing else.
Red Velvet did a run-in at the end, and it was, I don't know, it happened. That's most of what I can say about that for the moment. I think it'll be interesting to see what this leads into, because I don't know what the end goal for Layla's character is at this moment. Comparatively, because I think the angry feud with Statlander and Red Velvet works, but is she gonna be the angry feuder after this with another person, or what direction does she take? I think it's gonna be interesting to see. All right, after that we had Hook versus QT Marshall. QT Marshall.
Well, wait a minute. Something happened before that. Or is it
Something
after?
did happen before that.
Something did happen before that. We got
this at least.
we got a video package started playing, a certain someone's theme song.
Oh, I had this misplaced for some reason. I thought that was the last thing that happened.
No,
I had that misplaced in this order.
All of a sudden, Kenny Omega's music starts playing.
Dude, they got me too.
You could hear the crowd go crazy.
I audibly hear people running to their seats.
Yeah. And then none other than Don Callis comes out.
At this point, I'm so like I'm just beyond like actually feeling anger towards him, because obviously that's the point. But it was just like it was hilarious, because it was just like I like stand up at him and he's like, oh my god, Kenny's back, and then it's Don. I just start laughing hysterically, and both my parents are like, oh come on, this guy sucks. Why is he? Get him out of here.
Yeah, that was something.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys noticed this, but when Chris was making her entrance, when they were trying to show her little video package at like the start of her Titantron, it showed a part of Kenny's.
Oh, really?
I thought. I didn't notice it because didn't it show like the bit that's just a bunch of geometry on the screen?
I think it showed like Kenny's shadow, like at one point.
I must have missed that
because like it's supposed to, like, when it like zooms in, it's supposed to be like Chris's eyes and everything.
Yeah.
Like staying at the screen, but then it showed like the tunnel, and then it showed like Kenny kissing his fingers as a shadow. So I was like, "Oh, that was a mistake." But I didn't think of anything of it. It's like, huh? Kenny and Chris like must be right. Yeah, they must be like right next to each other in the Titantron thing. And then Kenny came and was like, "Oh," and then it was Don. I'm like, "Damn."
I mean, that could be the actual cases. They were just next to each other. They pressed the wrong button for a minute. Yeah. I think this is exciting because to me, this says Kenny is probably in better state than I think we would estimate.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
Because I don't think they would tease him coming back so heavily this early on into his like break time. I say early on, it's been like 3 months, but I think a lot of people are expecting him to be out for 6 months to a year minimum. So
yeah,
I think this is exciting because I think this says AEW already has plans for when Kenny comes back, which is something that I'm excited to see.
Yeah.
But yeah, Don, just talking a lot of trash. You know, what he normally does. Excalibur hates him, buries him on commentary. Awesome,
really funny.
Yeah.
And then we can get into our next
Hook versus QT
match
Marshall. I think there was zero doubt going into this match that Hook would win. This went longer than I thought it would. I thought this was going to be a proper near squash, but they did make QT at least look credible as a trainer, which is good. The ending to me is by far the funniest part of this because QT just backs up into a red rum. To me, overshadowed everything. So I was laughing the whole time. I think this was a good cool down. Like, get people into the ring or into the audience seated right after that Kenny Callis promo, and then show them something that's entertaining for like 5 minutes, and then move on to other things. So,
I'm just trying to think of like anything like too substantial that happened in this match. I can't think of too much besides the Hook just being cool. He tried to go for the diamond cutter, and then again, that's right when QT walked right into the red room, and then that was curtains.
Yeah, I think what this signals to me is that they're starting to move Hook into less of squashing jobbers territory and more into legitimate matches. So I think QT is that bridge for a lot of people. He's just credible enough where he's still a jobber, but he's often like the stepping stone into fighting more serious people. So
Yeah.
I hope that's what this is, and Hook gets some matches that are a little bit more detailed and lengthy than what he normally has.
Yeah, because he's totally capable of it. I would think, at least.
Oh
He
yeah, he
definitely
looked
looks
great
like it.
whole time. I think very impressive.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, any other thoughts on Hook versus QT Marshall?
No. It's Hook versus
I
QT.
think the
There's
comment. I
not too
will
much you can
shout out the
say.
commentary for this match because I think they were basically treating it like dark and just having a bit of a comedy hour
Yeah.
talking about QT Marshall. So I think that's always a fun little element in some of these matches. And this is really the last match of this pay-per-view and buy-in that has no weight behind it, I think. So everything after this has a lot of substance to it. Okay, so next, our final match of the buy-in. Penta Oscuro, Pac, and Eric Redbeard versus the House of Black in a trios match.
This was a match.
This is one of those matches, I think a lot like the Danielson match that was on the buy-in before. You just look at this and go, this is on a buy-in?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, this
really
match was
good.
sick for where it was. I want to say I appreciate House of Black's entrances so much because Malachi has his own song, and then when he's with
Yeah.
Brody, it's the Kings of the Black Throne, and now he has another new song for the entire group,
It's great.
which is awesome.
They all had the
And-
masks this time, which I don't believe they've done before. Looks very good.
Buddy Matthews looked sick, so did Brody.
Buddy Matthews, I think,
was-
is like competing now for the most jacked person.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
AEW.
Until Brian Cage gets back, he's
Yeah.
he's the most jacked.
He's very cut, I think would be the word I'd use.
Yeah.
So it was really interesting to see him in action because I haven't seen Buddy Matthews do a whole lot before. So he looked really good in this match, I thought, and I think did a really convincing case of showing why he's in AEW to people that don't know who he is, which I think is a lot of the audience comparatively.
Yeah, I think honestly everyone came out of this match looking like really good. Everyone had like a solid amount of spots against it feels like every other person.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was just really there were like a couple times where like the biggest nitpick I would have is like, oh, like that Impact wasn't sold the best or whatever, but it's like I don't care that this man just lifted up a 315-pound human being and threw him to the ground, so I can't really complain about that.
Yeah.
Alex Abrahantes is looking like Darth Maul too.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I've heard some people complain about it and be like, "Oh, this doesn't look great on TV." And I'm like, "No, this is amazing." Are you
That's
kidding
awesome.
me?
For the longest time, I was like, "Oh my god, Alex Abrahantes is so like he's just like funny to have him as that guy that's just like Penta says all the time." But like, I don't know if he's like always just had this ability to just own the entire stadium with just like saying the dumbest stuff into a mic with having like the Resident Evil 4 shopkeeper costume on in the middle of the ring. But like he totally owns it. It's literally like he's wanted to do this for his entire life. That's how much he like owns it.
I love how
Well,
he
I love
announced the
so
costume
much.
change too, because
Yeah.
on Twitter he like made this big deal out of a huge change coming, and a bunch of people thought he was leaving AEW or something, and then he just shows up and cuts a promo in this like hooded outfit, and it was incredible. It was one of my favorite like Twitter things that happened with AEW.
It's cool too because like I know at least for him before like he like did the backstage stuff and he was like on QVC, like he did like wrestling training forever ago, so like he's always like been a part of the business, which is pretty cool, and looks like he's really enjoying it. But yeah,
They did,
man,
like lightly tease him wrestling during
A
the
little
last
bit.
Rampage and Dynamite, so I wonder if we might get him in a match at some point.
That'd
Probably
be
like a
awesome.
goofy side thing, but
Yeah. But yeah, this match was super good. It was really fast paced,
Yeah.
and again, like everyone got their own moment. So you
they
know,
did a great job of making everybody here look good, which I think is super important with both of these factions.
yeah. And it was also really cool to see Eric Redbeard because I think it's just kind of awesome, like how over he is with the crowd.
Yeah, I didn't expect that, and then he was really getting a lot of energy behind him, which I thought was great.
he was getting the crowd really into it, and that was kind of awesome.
Yeah,
but I'm trying to think of like
there was some really really good exchanges between Penta and Buddy Matthews too. They had a couple of like quick back and forths here that were incredibly smooth.
Mm-hmm.
It's always the case with Penta, but I think it was the best way to show that Buddy Matthews is a very serious contender here. He looked really, really good in those exchanges.
I know there was a Poison Rana in the match, which I always like.
Yeah.
You know, I always think someone's going to perish when I see that move, but thankfully not. And unfortunately, like as good as this match is, the only other thing that I kind of remember from the match, like immediately, is because I remember like I was excited to see it. Buddy Matthews tries to go for that curb stomp thing where he pulls Penta's arms back and he's gonna try to push his like foot down, and you know Penta will, like, Penta kind of looked like he kind of got caught on something, or like Penta really didn't know like what to do. I mean, maybe it's even big brain and like he was just selling it, like showing like he didn't like resisting. But I remember that mainly because that version of the curb stomp's really cool, and yeah. But
I did like they made a big point because both teams have a big bruiser here. You have a Redbeard for the Death Triangle group, and then good old Brody King. So I like that they made a big deal out of getting those two out of the match. For a lot of it, a lot of it was like 2-on-1 with both of them. So really selling that they're both big deals and that those bruisers are not to be taken lightly, which I thought was a nice way to kind of mix up the storytelling here and give us a neat little wrinkle to the normal AEW tag team shenanigans that always happen.
Yeah.
So I think here it was better because there was a very credible reason to get those people out of the match. And that worked great, especially because Redbeard was the one who got pinned.
Yep.
So he really took a lot of punishment up until then, and then you could see like Black and Matthews standing in the ring just looking scared when Redbeard is there, and then them just barely managing to get him down. So I think that is a fun thing that happened and just kind of really sold Redbeard as a threat and also made him look good in losing, while giving Black the pin that he has kind of desperately needed for a little while, just to make sure that the House of Black is still like a credible heel faction.
Yeah.
So I think they did a lot of good storytelling with this match, and I am incredibly excited to see what the end of this is whenever Rey Fenix gets back, because I'm sure this is not the end.
Absolutely not.
That's going to be an incredible match. All right. So our totals at the end of the buy-in. Brett, you were sitting at 2 points. Ryan, you are sitting at 4.
Oh man.
Because Brett's actually gotten the winners right for everything except the first one, but Ryan's been on point with guessing the little wrinkles to get those extra points of Black pinning Redbeard. You didn't guess it was going to be Black. You guessed it would be Buddy Matthews, but Redbeard getting pinned. Then QT tapping in 8 seconds. So you were right on the money with that. It's like, from my count, about 7 seconds exactly. So very close.
Wow.
Okay.
Right, Ryan's good with those wrinkles.
Oh yeah, good with the wrinkles. Moving into the matches proper. Chris Jericho versus Eddie Kingston is our opener. And this was like, I saw this happen and I was like, wait, this is the opening match? And then I realized, I don't know what else they would have put as it. Because every on this card has a lot behind it.
I think every single time that Eddie's been in a pay-per-view in his own match, he's been the opening match, right? Or at least like very early in the show.
With the exception of him versus Punk, which was I think near semi-main, and then when he did when it was Mox versus him, that was the main event for Full Gear.
That's right.
Yeah, pretty much he's always been near the start, which I think is probably the smart thing to do considering how much people love him.
Yeah.
And you get them all like hyped up right at the start of the show. So
And what I really loved about this is this match really felt like a kind of a homecoming for Chris Jericho in a weird way, because Jericho's been in a couple of nothing feuds lately. He was getting a bit of a beer gut for a while, and I think you could tell that people were kind of starting to get over him in a way that was not super fun. And I think he has clearly like cut back on whatever was getting that beer gut, because he looked great in this match. You can see his abs again when he's standing up, and so I thought Jericho looked like proper Chris Jericho. There was a lot of really good sequences here. Eddie Kingston, such a great
killing Chris Jericho at the start of the match. My God, with that half and half, that was crazy.
It's sometimes I just forget how good Kingston is when he's in the ring until he's there, because he always. I was talking with another friend of ours, Alex, who's on the main podcast, and we were watching this, and he was like, "This is like the battle of two homeless dads." And that really sold it to me, because they both kind of looked like it after like 5 minutes of this match.
Especially after Eddie's eye got hit too.
Yeah. So
my man,
I love this as an opener. I think it had a lot of. I like the choice they made to not have a lot of interference here. We didn't have any Inner Circle. We didn't have Moxley show up. We didn't have any Proud and Powerful. So I think that meant this felt a lot more like a close feud between these two people rather than these group feuds that have been going on. So
yeah,
I like a lot of the storytelling here. No Jake Hager showed up, so
good.
Nobody gets extra points for Jake Hager showing up. So I feel like this was one of the matches that's going to be kind of forgotten about because it was so early on the card, but going back and watching it again, it was great the whole time.
Yeah, I love Eddie's offense, just suplexing people, chopping people.
Yeah.
Doing the enziguri and then the back fist, and then like the stretch pull, and that's pretty much it. And he makes it all so look good
at like surprise pullouts of the enziguri and stuff, where he'll just suddenly pop up and do it, and you're like, oh, I completely forgot this man can do that this quickly.
Yeah,
it's very Keith Lee-esque.
Yeah, that and a lot of Chris Jericho's moves here were really sick too. Like some stuff he's using the code breaker a lot in this match, which he hasn't done a lot. Which it looked really good. The German he pulled on Eddie was sick. He did the German also from the ringside to the outside.
Yeah.
Did the lion salt and didn't kill himself this time.
God.
I do love
very worrying move to do sometimes.
That always scares me when he does the lion salt. But if you notice,
head got really close to the ground.
It did, but if you go back and watch it, shows how much of a pro Eddie is.
Yeah,
you could see him moving. He moved slightly closer towards the ropes, so Jericho wouldn't have to go as far.
Yeah,
or to make it look like it connects a bit better.
It's just clear that this is a match with two very well trained veterans that know how to keep each other from getting hurt, while really looking like they both got super hurt. So I think Eddie especially is always so good at selling that I question whether or not he actually broke an arm or something. In every match that he's in. So major credit for that.
And it's surprising that it was the submission win. I totally thought it would have been a pin off of the back fist, but
this was Eddie's time for a clean win. It's hard to argue that it wasn't. So yeah, I think overall, really solid match, great opener. Any other notes before we move on?
My interpretation of Eddie's storyline is out the window now, because I guess at least for now he's done going down the downward spiral because he got his big win. But honestly, it's probably better off this way because he looked really happy. Which when Eddie's happy, everyone's happy.
Yep. Because I think they realize that people really want to cheer Eddie, and I think it's going to be hard to turn him even tweener right at this moment because of the fact that everyone is cheering him so loudly.
Yeah,
it's like when I think back to the show I was at, he got in a match with CM Punk on the card and everything. He was getting the loudest cheers.
Yeah, he got people to boo Punk, which is crazy.
It's the kind of thing where, man, every time he shows up, I forget how over he is until I realize how worked up I am watching the match. I'm like, man, I'm so invested in everything he does. So yeah, I think overall super good match. Ryan, you're currently up by 3 points over Brett.
Yep.
Moving on to the tag team championship triple threat. They pulled this out as a second match, and I was like, man, I needed a hang back after that match. A nice calm thing. Nope. We're going right into it with true chaos. This devolved very quickly. And I'm in a weird state with the whole will they, won't they with the Young Bucks and Red Dragon. Because it kind of seems like it's been going for a while, and there's been so many, but they did betray you, but we're just going to kind of forget about that for a minute. So
Yeah.
I was in a weird spot with that at the start of this match. I think by the end of it, they pulled me back into it. Because they did a really good job of showing early on that they had an agreement going in that they just kept breaking, and now everyone is on different pages. So
yeah, it felt very, very final, as in like the next time that they're both on screen, they should be like calling out a match that they're going to have against each other, kind of thing.
Yep.
Yeah, because I thought that was super good. Initially they were both just pretty much working over Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, but like as it went on and on, they started interrupting each other's offense so they wouldn't get the win.
Yep.
Like when they wouldn't get the win, and that's ultimately pretty much what caused the Jurassic Express to win.
Yeah.
But yeah, just all a lot of stuff happened in this match, and it was just really good tag team wrestling from everyone. I mean, you got the Bucks and Red Dragon, who are like two of the best teams that they have, obviously, and it shows. And Jungle Boy looks great. Luchasaurus still looked pretty good. And,
I think Jungle Boy, especially in this match, looked better than he has in a while.
Yeah.
He pulled a lot of spots out here that I think were very impressive. And I also got to give big props to Red Dragon, because I think Red Dragon is a team that has consistently been in other promotions and then not gotten to show off because of injuries. Like, one of them has been injured pretty much every time they debut in a promotion. And
it's usually
Bobby Fish. His brittle fish bones. But seeing them in full form has been super impressive. I think Bobby Fish has really especially managed to sell himself as this very credible heel.
Yeah.
Comparatively. So I like seeing them put in almost the FTR to the Young Bucks goofy heel persona. They're the more serious group that's very serious about tag team wrestling. So I like that idea.
And even then, you have Kyle O'Reilly purposely saying people's names wrong, and Bobby Fish just bantering mid-match, which is awesome. Apparently, from what I read, they changed the mics a lot, the way they mic'd the ring for the show. From what I was reading, people's reaction, apparently the chops sounded like shots going off, it was crazy. Apparently, how loud they were in the audience.
Yeah, supposedly, I think what it was is the posts with cameras in them had hot mics this time.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep. That's what I thought I heard too. Because the other thing was they were saying a lot of people could actually hear in the arena Bobby Fish talking smack the entire time.
I love it.
Even in the last episodes of Rampage and Dynamite, Bobby's voice has been able to be picked up or whatever. Like when Adam Page was running the promo on how Adam Cole sucks or whatever, and Bobby could be like, "You're the worst, Adam. What are you talking about? That belt should be his." And it's just stupid stuff like that. It's so good. I like hearing that stuff. So I'm glad that we're able to more now, and even more so, I guess, for the live audience. But I don't know. I really like that sort of stupid stuff.
Yeah, me too.
I'm watching parts of this over again yesterday, and Nick Jackson and Jungle Boy have a couple of really good exchanges that I think deserve a lot of credit, where Jungle Boy is doing his classic tightrope walk and then jump to the other while holding Nick Jackson and then doing a flip off of it. That I think is, I don't know what to call that move, but it's very impressive.
Yeah.
So I like seeing that, and I like how well they made Jungle Boy and Jurassic Express look like champions here. Because I think that's been a consistent issue, not necessarily with their reign, but with people getting it in their head that they are the current tag champions. Because they're a goofier team compared to most of the teams that have held the championship in the past. So I think it's been a little bit hard to get that over in at least my mind. I think a lot of other people have had similar things. So I think this definitely did a good job of showing why they're the champions.
Yeah, especially with the still, I'm not sure if it's like 100% that this is what happened, but still with like that feeling in the back of your head, like, oh, they're only champions because they had to make a split-second decision with Rey Fenix's arm
Yeah.
having a serious problem in that championship match. But I think this, whether that ends up being like the truth or not, I don't think it really matters by this point, because I mean they just solidified themselves. I mean, they beat two teams at once. So if you don't think that's good enough for someone to be
And like
champion, then I don't know what's going to
convincingly
convince you.
beat two teams at once as well. This
Yeah.
wasn't an easy match for anyone. So
Yeah,
I think they did a really good job of just making everyone in the match look strong and really following through with Red Dragon and Young Bucks completely preventing themselves from winning.
yeah.
So, any other thoughts on this match?
I can't wait for Red Dragon versus Bucks and just
Yeah.
them, because that's going to be a great match.
That's gonna be awesome to
Yeah.
see.
All right, Brett, you're up 2 points with this match. It's now 5-4. Ryan's still leading.
I'm
But Brett,
back.
you're catching up because you predicted Jungle Boy would be pinning. You thought it'd be Bobby Fish. It was one of the Jacksons, either Nick or Matt. Didn't write it down. I just wrote Jungle
It's
Boy
hard to
pins
tell
Jackson.
sometimes.
Yeah.
So, you're up. You're catching up. A little better than last
I'm
time.
getting there.
All right. I did want to mention Adam Cole did not make an appearance in this match.
Yeah, that's
It
No.
was
true.
interesting. They didn't play any angle up with Adam Cole for this yet, which makes some sense because he's in a match later in the night, so he's obviously not busy. But I think it would have been interesting because they've done that before, where they've had current champions and people defending on the same card show up in matches. So
He's busy putting his Halloween costume on.
yeah,
Yeah.
good Halloween costume.
It was.
Right. After that, we have the Face of the Revolution ladder match. Wardlow, Keith Lee, Powerhouse Hobbs, Ricky Starks, Orange Cassidy, and Christian Cage.
Pretty awesome
This was
match.
a match. Yeah.
A lot of really cool spots in here.
I loved how how Orange Cassidy learned how to climb a ladder. With
And
no
it was
hands.
still wrong.
It was still wrong. It was great. This is the start of Ryan predicting some insane things during this show that just happened.
I'm not surprised.
So, I think it's very interesting what we're gonna go through here. I thought this match was really, really good. I think they did a good job of making the hosses in this match look like proper hosses.
Yeah, and then it showed like Christian, Ricky, and like Orange trying to do their best to stay in there with them and finding their opportunities to try to get up there while the hosses are all busy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought that was really good way to kind of balance the match. I do want to point out it's apparently possible that Ricky Starks and Orange Cassidy might be injured off of this match. Because both of them...
Ricky was okay.
Ricky was okay. The TK did a post-media scrum, and he said he was okay.
That's good.
Yeah, so I wonder if there was more
the
spots planned during this match that had them involved. Because even if they're okay, I think the way it looked like both of them might have gotten injured, I could see why they would have been taken out of the match for the rest of it.
Yes.
Even if they're fine, because Ricky had a pretty nasty neck bump off of having a major neck injury. So, yeah, that was scary. Then Orange Cassidy just kind of flew out of frame and then didn't come back for the rest of the match. And apparently from the audience, they were saying that the people on the outside who were meant to catch him, Keith Lee threw him too far.
No.
Yes. He's too strong, and nobody was able to catch him, and so he landed on the ground after that. So hopefully Cassidy's fine.
Yeah.
But
I don't know if you heard, speaking of Cassidy, but Trent got injured again.
Really?
Yes. According to the post-scrum, he was, again, TK was talking about Trent, he said, "Oh yeah, he got injured. Not as bad as last time, but in the battle royale, he got injured in it. So
That's a shame. I hope he's back soon.
yeah,
Because Trent has been on a good run.
yeah,
All right. So ladder match. I think we all kind of knew it was either going to be Wardlow or Keith Lee walking out of this, depending on who they were really going to push. Really glad Wardlow got his due in this match.
Thank
yeah.
And they made him look good doing it too. This wasn't like a Wardlow barely won situation. It was a Wardlow convincingly won.
Yeah,
which is hard to do in a ladder match.
Yeah.
Orange Cassidy
There's
had some incredible spots here as well.
Yes, I was gonna say that initially when all the Haas's were fighting him, just climbing up Keith and trying to get it, was an awesome spot.
Especially because like you see Powerhouse Hobbs, Wardlow, and Keith Lee staring off and like deciding what to do, and then Orange Cassidy just like rolls into the ring and stands next to them.
It's beautiful.
Funniest things because it doesn't work, but it's very funny. Then they have another spot later on where I think it was Powerhouse Hobbs and Wardlow. It might have been Keith Lee. Can't quite.
I think it was Keith Lee and Wardlow. Is that the one where they're holding the ladder?
Yeah, they're holding the ladder. Yeah, it was Keith Lee because this is where OC gets thrown, I think. Keith Lee and Wardlow are holding the ladder up because Orange Cassidy was trying to climb it, and Orange Cassidy's got it stuck on his head. He flips around and gets on top of it, then tries to like jump and reach up for it, and then falls down and hits himself in the gonads on. It's one of the it's hard to do a comedy spot in a match like this that needs to be taken relatively seriously because you're pushing Wardlow very hard. But I think they had the right balance here of how to get the comedy right without making the Haas's look like idiots.
Yeah,
definitely.
It wasn't that Orange got thrown, got beeled outside the ring after this. This was Hobbs suplexing Orange off of the ladder. While Keith held the ladder down, and that, which was crazy. I don't like all props on that goes to Keith for holding that ladder with one hand to make sure nothing bad happened.
Yeah.
That was a crazy spot. I never saw something like that before.
This match was filled with some pretty crazy stuff. AEW uses ladders a lot better than the competition, I think, because they don't do the super slow climb. For one, at least they haven't in a while. They definitely did in some old matches, but this time around, everyone that was climbing a ladder was doing it quick because they had planned the timing out for everything very well. And then the moment when you have like Wardlow and Keith Lee are the only two people still standing. And then Keith Lee's going for it, and then he just decides to get off of the ladder to fight Wardlow. Like that was
really cool.
That's how you sell me the not wanting to win right now just because they want to fight. So I think a lot of little stuff like that was really, really good in this. It's crazy that this is only the third match of the night. Too.
Yeah, seriously.
I thought this would be further in the card and be one of the big ending moments. But again, like all of the matches on this card, aside from one, I think were really, really solid and had a lot of weight behind them.
Yeah.
So, all right. Any other thoughts on this match?
I like the part where Wardlow and Will Hobbs ripped the ladder in half, and then Wardlow threw two giant men off the, near where the commentary booth is through tables.
Yes.
I like what they did with Christian during this match, because especially with how kind of like last second his win was, it was kind of like, oh, why is he here? That's kind of weird. But then they kept talking about how he's got like 22 ladder matches.
He had lots of ladder experience.
Like, oh yeah, this makes sense. And he was just doing like building stuff out of it and just like stuff like that. It's like, okay, yeah, he this makes sense all of a sudden.
He was the one setting up the ring for things, which was great.
Yeah.
It also, now that you pointed out with Orange like not being there for the rest of the match after he got thrown out, I wonder if they had to kind of change spots with Danhausen.
Yeah, that was the rumor. Because Danhausen comes out and curses who is that? Keith Lee?
Ricky, maybe?
Ricky. Yeah, Danhausen comes out, does his thing, but that felt weird because you can see Danhausen in the camera, like on the side of the ring, waiting for a good while. before he
Yeah.
actually goes into the ring and does his thing. So I bet there was some changes with that.
Mm.
Be my heavy estimate. I did forget about this, but they were constantly cutting away during this match to Dan Lambert and Paige Van Zandt
Yes,
in
they
their
do that
skybox.
the whole pay-per-view.
But they started doing it a lot. There's like 4 or 5 different cutaways here when nothing
It's
is
very
happening.
weird.
This is a hard sell to me because I think Paige Van Zandt looks very good as a credible threat. I don't know if she can wrestle. That's the big thing.
The
I
big
don't know.
thing. Yeah, because you get people like Jade with like barely any experience, and we'll get to her.
Yeah.
But like, and she's fantastic. But that to me
She's
is
improved
like,
so much, but that's
yeah,
rare.
that's like super rare, once in like a promotion's lifetime almost, where you can get someone that has like little wrestling experience and just like have them become someone worthy of like being like having a belt that's just like
Defending a
almost
belt on
synonymous
a
with their
pay-per-view,
name.
right?
Yeah. I'm always iffy when they get these MMA people in the wrestling ring, not because like, I mean, obviously they know how to fight in like a more like real credible way, like
That
they
makes it
actually
harder
like
to play fight though, right? It makes it harder
exactly,
to
yeah.
act like you're hitting someone without actually hitting them. You can
Yeah,
tell that if you watch a lot of
exactly.
MMA fighters and wrestling, they do the thing where their punches look worse than wrestler punches because
Mhm.
they're like holding back too much, right? So
Yeah.
I do wonder because I think AEW might just make it a shoot fight if they need to. I feel like that is a thing that could happen in AEW where they're like, okay, hold back a tiny bit to not like actively injure someone, but you can hit each other, right? Because they've done that before. So I think that's the route that will probably result in the best match. I don't know if that's a thing I would recommend happening, but
Yeah. We'll see, I guess.
especially because Paige Van Zandt, I feel like has gotten the rough end of this because of the whole Cody and Brandy Rhodes leaving thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's got some weird promos. She's still attached to Dan Lambert, who is, I feel like her attachment to Dan Lambert makes more sense right now than Men of the Years,
Yeah.
who just kind of
Well,
keep
because
sticking with him.
I mean,
So
oh yeah, because that's the thing too. Is in real life, Paige Van Zandt is part of
Yeah.
American Top Team.
there's
So
an actual connection there that makes more sense.
yeah, yeah,
It's weird that they cut back to that skybox and then they're trying to build up Paige Van Zandt, but then they also cut to Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page sitting up there doing their goofy talking thing that they do whenever the camera's on them, where they look very obnoxious. So it's just a weird way to sell them as a threat.
Yeah.
I don't think it works
They
particularly
keep
well.
also doing this thing where they keep going, oh, Scorpio Sky, this man hasn't lost in a year. It's like, yeah, because he's had
He doesn't do anything.
2 matches in the past. He doesn't do anything. He should, because he's really good,
Yeah.
and he could have easily fit himself into other things. But I don't him like the Men of the Year Association and the Dan Lambert Association.
It feels like
is
it's
both
just
kinda,
making
hurting
Scorpio
him.
Sky and Ethan Page worse as singles wrestlers, despite the fact that they are both singles wrestlers
Exactly,
and not a tag team. So
yeah.
it's strange. I don't like the whole Men of the Year thing when they're not tag wrestling. Is it makes it really hard for them to chase after any titles or anything. And you can tell both of them are ready for that, but just aren't doing it. So
because both are really good.
Yeah. All right. After this latter match, Brett, you correctly predicted that Wardlow would be the winner of this match. So you're tied up with Ryan now. But Ryan correctly predicted that Keith Lee would throw less things. Because Keith Lee only threw 2 things that I count during this match. And one of those was being pretty generous because it was like him doing like a half. It wasn't really a throw. It was like a choke slam, but Ricky Starks left his hand and just like bounced off of the rope. So I kind of counted that as a throw, but there weren't a lot of Keith Lee throwing things. The big throwing spot with Orange Cassidy was just kind of the only one that I can recall. So less throws happened. All right. Moving on to our next match, the TBS Championship, Jade Cargill versus Ty Conti.
Well, again, before that, we had our main man Tony Schiavone say, "Guys, I have a really cool
This is what
announcement.
the whole thing I was talking about. Was like Ryan predicted something. Insane at this very moment.
Guys, you're not gonna believe it. I got a big sign, man, and you're not gonna guess it while pointing the clipboard right at the camera. Yeah, I worked with this guy for a long time. You're never gonna guess who it is.
While showing the name directly.
In big bold letters saying "Swerve." So yeah, Shane. Shane Strickland. He's awesome. Glad that he's in AEW and he's already over with the crowd. And
the Who's House champ was going over really well.
Yeah, and I just love how happy Tony was about this, because like when Tony started getting back into wrestling a couple of years ago in MLW, like he was commentating over Shane's stuff, and like I really liked it because as soon as he got back to the commentary desk, like when Ty Conte and like Jade were making their entrance, he's like, "Yeah, man, I'm really happy Shane's this company."
He's just like, "Oh man, I'm glad to see him here."
Yeah.
What I also think is really interesting about this is Nick Wayne in Defy right now has a current feud with Shane Strickland. Sure.
Yes.
They did a cool post-match promo. And I don't watch a lot of Defy, but someone recommended that I watch this match because Nick Wayne is like 16, 17 and is super impressive already. And he cuts a promo because he just got a contract for AEW from Darby Allin, but he can't wrestle on TV yet because of his age. So Shane then has a match with him, beats him, and does this whole thing of, when you get to AEW, I'm going to be waiting.
Ooh.
And this was a couple weeks ago. So you could pretty easily tell that Swerve was going to be AEW signed pretty soon, but I think that's going to be really interesting when Nick Wayne actually does show up, because he is way, way better than he should be at 16, right? Super, super credible.
It's another Dante Martin type where they're just baby, but like anti-gravity at the same time.
Yep. So I'm excited to see that come to fruition, assuming this contract is long enough for that to actually happen. So, all right. Any other thoughts on Shane, Swerve, Strickland, or the Face of the Revolution ladder match? We can mention that Scorpio Sky is going to get a title shot first.
Yes.
Good, I guess.
All right.
It's you don't understand. It's title versus streak. Scorpio Sky is on less than 364 days, apparently.
I think they did title versus streak, and then Jade shows up with the 29-0.
Yeah.
Behind her name. The screen. So I really, that's not the streak that I care about at this moment. All right. So after that, TBS Championship, Jade Cargo versus Ty Conti. Man, Jade Cargill's gear in this match.
Yes.
I was not prepared for a Mortal Kombat, basically cosplay, because it is just a Mortal Kombat outfit. It's not like, it doesn't look like gear that kind of looks like Mortal Kombat. It's just Mortal Kombat, right?
It's just Jade. Yeah. It's just Jade's gear from Mortal Kombat. Don't forget to mention, you got Kingfish killing it.
Yes.
Unironically, the best musical performance that they've had.
You can tell he's going off. Like, he's focused.
He's locked in. He does not skip a beat. He does not flounder a note at all. He just shreds for a solid 2 to 3 minutes straight, and it's beautiful. It's so good.
I mean, this is how you make someone feel like a champion, right? Because Jade Cargill just walks out and has one of the most bombastic entrances of the night. It's incredible. The whole time, she looks great. She's got her music going with an actual performer in Kingfish, and Kingfish is killing it on the guitar.
Yeah.
So this is the instant okay, Jade's winning this match, and she's going to probably keep winning for a little while. Because she looked great in this. Really, really good. And I don't know who could beat her. That's my big thing at this point. It's at this point, you just pulled out all the stops for Jade. I don't know. I'm curious to see if she's going to get a proper feud soon that goes more than 1 or 2 matches. Because that's not really been something she's done. So I want to see that. Any spots in here that people want to call out?
They kissed each other.
They did. Twice.
Is that a reference because Ty Conte kissed her on the forehead in one of the promos?
I don't know.
I took it as like Jade just being so full of
Yeah.
herself. It's like that. It's kind of weird archetype of like the anime character where they're so high above everyone else and they don't care. So it just whatever. This doesn't matter.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
that
kick
or
the
like
crap out of you anyway.
that or I know like some like when MMA fighters go up to like after the weigh-in and they stare at each other, like one of them will try to like peck each other in the cheek and then they go like, oh no no no.
Yeah. I do
But
like that they
yeah,
had Ty come out with Anna Jay and with -1 too.
Yeah.
That was surprising. Yeah, I like that they're playing up the whole Anna Jay aspect because before, when Ty had a match with Britt, Anna Jay was nowhere to be seen. And that was a little
Yeah.
weird. So, at least keeping
yeah.
consistency here.
I thought for what the match was, it was really good. You know, Jade constantly gets better. This was definitely one of the shorter matches on the main card, but
Mhm.
that's fine. I mean, because you know Jade just goes out there and destroys people pretty much.
Yeah.
But like Ty got in a lot of good offense. You know,
They both look good.
Anna Jay hit Jade with the chair. Ty hit some pile driver on her and a bunch of her other signature offense. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you know, Jade is the final boss, pretty much. I feel even more so than like Britt of the women's division. So
yeah,
you know.
I do agree with that at this point because this was what, a 7-minute match, just about, and
Yeah.
Jade at this point feels like more of a threat than Britt.
Yeah.
So I have to wonder if they lead this into a title versus title match at some point.
I'd like to see that.
That would be interesting.
Because I know the whole Thunder Rosa and Britt thing is long in the making, but I don't know. I think this killed a lot of the momentum it'll have. We'll talk about that later. But
just because we're bringing up the comparison between her and Britt, I think I maybe I'm wrong, but I want to say that we can agree that this is probably the better women's match of the actual pay-per-view itself.
Unfortunately, too, because you know, despite TK and all I'm saying now is, I think another part of the reason why that match didn't go over so well is I still think Thunder Rosa's injured. Obviously, like good enough to work, but like some of the spots,
but enough that they don't want to pull the trigger on a title.
Yeah. That you like see she was struggling to pick up Britt at sometimes, but we'll go over that when we get to that match. But you know, definitely for what it was, this was the much better match, women's match this night.
Yeah, hard to agree with that. I really think this did a better job of showing off both people, despite it being a much shorter match. Because Ty Conte looks really good in this. She still needs a new entrance badly. That's like, I think the big thing preventing her from really feeling like she has a lot of star power. But Jade,
face paint helps though.
Yeah, Jade is really, really convincing here. I think you can at this point say she's shaken off any rust she might have had from being new and is fully in the flow of it. Because Jade does some top rope moves in this one. Right, the first time, and it was good. It looked solid. She did a frog splash, and I was like, "That was a good frog splash."
Yeah, so, good enough that they could have it in slow motion. That's an achievement in itself.
And with Jade's size, that looks threatening, right? Like that is.
Yeah, legitimately.
I think it's hard to make a frog splash look that threatening in most matches, but Jade is like a brick wall hitting someone, and I think that does make it look very good, especially in her gear. Like the whole Jade outfit is incredible. So this entire match, I think, was very good for the length that it was. I just feel like this was definitely a case where there needed to be another big ticket women's match on this show, and unfortunately the title shot that we're going to talk about was not it.
Yeah.
All right. Any other thoughts with this match? Great. Really? No bonus points for this one because we predicted both a rough finish and that Smart Mark Sterling would be ejected. Jade won clean, and Smart Mark Sterling did not get ejected. So, Ryan, you were going up 1 point with this to 7.
Alrighty.
Moving on to I think this is one of the big matches of the night for a lot of people. Dog collar match, CM Punk versus Maxwell Jacob Friedman.
Yep.
Yeah.
I gotta talk about the entrances here.
This match was awesome.
Going in with MJF is the first one to enter and looks He does his great thing wearing his like British king's coat with his scarf print that just looks totally ridiculous but great. Very, very sure of himself walking in. And then you just see the lights dim. And pure confusion on a lot of the audience.
Yeah.
Including myself for a little while, because I went back and watched a little bit of Punk's ROH and like I forget if it was Nitro or TNA or whatever stuff he was doing in the 90s and the early 2000s.
Yeah.
I watched a bit of that, so I only picked up on this like after the actual music started and not the lead up to it. But Punk does his Ring of Honor entrance.
Yep, he came out to AFI's Miseria Canter. He got the shorts. Only thing that he's got the coat on. The only thing that's missing is if he bleached his hair.
that would be the whole
That would have been too much.
I think if he bleached his hair, I think I would legitimately die because like I was flipping out. I was going crazy. I was like, "Oh my god!" And it makes so much sense too. With
this was like
just
a final boss theme, right?
Yeah.
Like this felt like CM Punk going, "You are not going to beat me."
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that worked really well for this match. It was really the kind of like, because CM Punk's had a lot of good entrances. Cult of Personality is an incredible song. But man, they knew to pull out the different thing for this. And I thought that was really good.
Yeah.
So, this entrance was incredible. The audience, you can tell after a moment or two they get it with what's going on. So I think that helps. But yeah, I think that just like really set the tone of this match, and especially the slow build to the collars being put on. They really knew to take their time with this, and I think that was important.
Yeah.
What I love is you can see when Punk takes his jacket off too, he just winks at MJF's face. It's just very convincing. So I think this entire match lead into the match itself was really good. Hard to get right for a match like this.
Yeah,
but it's important to get right too.
Yeah, and this match is like so brutal, like throughout the whole thing, and it's like there's not like in a sense there's no real big spots. The big spots of the match is just how brutal they're being with the chain and everything.
Yeah,
like Punk gets busted open pretty early on. MJF starts talking, smack to him early, like in the middle of the match, where CM Punk replies beautifully, and then Punk starts working over the hand with wrapping it in the chain. MJF's hand wrapping it in the chain, and it was like kneeing it, and oh man, it was so brutal to see this match.
Yeah,
especially because like I don't know, I have never seen someone bleed as much as Punk and be fine. Like, I assume it's just something about his physiology. Man just bleeds well.
Yeah.
And it is brutal to watch. Like, this is the kind of thing, if it's the same thing as the promo they cut the other night, where I was legitimately concerned at the end of that they had done something incorrectly. And it's clear during this that they hadn't, because he's totally fine. Punk is like loving every second of this.
Yeah, he's smiling and laughing like a maniac.
So, yeah, I think this is also the match that's going to cement Punk's, like, this being his big return for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because I think this is the convincing moment of, okay, he hasn't lost a step, and he is loving what he's doing. So, that to me was like the big takeaway from this, is that Punk is back and in full fashion at this point. So, yeah, I thought this match was great. You can tell a couple of times the chain is causing problems.
Yes.
A little bit, yeah.
Yes.
Which I think is like the only note against this, because you can tell like there's a couple bits where MJF specifically will like get ready to go over the top rope and then realize the chain is under the bottom rope and has to like back down and go through that way.
Was he trying to do the pile driver? And
and he had to like wrap through 3 times.
Yeah, and you audibly hear him say "shit," and he's just
he looks like he was laughing too a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think it's a huge problem, because I think that does add to the dog collar match type, right, of them actually struggling with it. But I do think you can clearly tell they're trying to not actually hurt each other with it, because of the fact they have to be so careful that the it doesn't get tangled in anything. I love the start of this match too that we forgot to mention of MJF just trying to run away
Yeah.
at the start, and them immediately doing the dog collar like strangling spot. So
Yeah.
a lot of great moments in this.
Tax came out, and unfortunately for my man Punk, obviously I think you could tell that they were trying to get them mainly in the back.
Yeah.
However, went a
Right
little
in
bit
the
south.
Come
Yeah.
on, the butt. Oh, the butt.
It was painful looking too, because you could see Punk
Yeah.
just lands completely butt first into
Yeah.
a huge pile of them. So yeah, it's a rough look, and then of course both of them end up with a ton in their backs
Yeah.
to that
as
one
usual.
spot. So I did like the chain did come apart during the tack spot. And they did a really good job of covering that up and getting it reattached very quickly. So
Yeah.
it was good,
I remember
good thinking.
The last dog collar match, one of the collars like came undone, and it was really like, okay, like come on. And they took like 2 minutes to like get it back around. I think it was Cody's neck that it started coming undone around, and it kind of ruined the validity of it a little bit. Where it's just like, okay, these things are attached with like Velcro. Come on, guys. But this felt like more,
because this time it was the chain that came off. It
was the
wasn't the
chain,
collar
yeah.
loosening. So I think they fixed the collar part. But
yes,
the chain
and
was
the ref just immediately just like put it back on.
Yeah,
which is good call. Thank God. I want to highlight MJF's setting ability, because this man is I think up there with Darby Allin in terms of just like selling stuff like it's killing him. And I don't know if we really get to talk about it a lot, because he saves it for like the really important stuff, but like the whole match, like whether it was really hurting him or not, just like the whole match, he's shaking that hand out, and that was like one of the spots within the first like under 10 minutes of the match, and the whole rest of the match, he's shaking that hand out. Every single thing that Punk does to him, he's like spasming like a maniac and stuff like that. It made it very, very satisfying, especially to see, because you had that point of view, like I just want to see this guy get absolutely brutalized by Punk, and having him sell that well for so many things, it makes it that much better.
Very convincing too.
Yeah,
especially he does like also the goofy spasm sell
yes.
when he lands in the tax, and it's the kind of thing where he's totally fine if he's doing that, but
totally,
it looks hilarious, and I think it definitely is the right type of selling to be doing for MJF's character. It's very good. I'm just imagining this is definitely the match where they went backstage afterwards and immediately high-fived each other.
Totally.
How good this was.
Especially these two guys too. I would imagine they probably like so proud of this match, as they should be.
It's
but also
such a hard situation to end up with a match that has like a 20-year story, essentially.
Yeah, seriously.
Like 15-year story that is true to some degree, and then kind of mixes the line between what kayfabe and reality is. I think is what makes wrestling special. So,
right. we gotta of course talk about Wardlow.
Oh yeah,
coming out, delivering the ring to the wrong or right person, depending on what you believe.
Look, Brett, he just forgot he had it on him. He was looking for it, wrong pocket. I mean,
I love that.
Such a dude.
It was in the first pocket he checked too. It was just like, oh, is it no, and it was right in the first one. Like, oh, sorry. That interaction was so
being
good.
The way that Wardlow does his face turn, I think was perfect, because everyone's imagining he just suddenly power bombs MJF like 10 times. That's probably gonna happen in the future
eventually,
but this being the way of the Dynamite Diamond Ring is this goofy little thing that they've had for 3 years that means very little, but MJF uses all the time. So having that be the moment he turns, I think is such a good way to reincorporate that and really just sell that Wardlow is more than he appears to be, and is actually really good at the subtle things too. He does, his facial expressions are great. She doesn't get to show off a lot, so really, really like this. Especially the look on Punk's face and the camera angle that made him look like Gollum. At the end. My precious. And reaching for the ring. Yeah. I this is one of those finishes that I think was just handled perfectly.
Yeah, this whole match was incredible.
Yep. All right. Any other thoughts on this match?
No, it was definitely one of my favorite matches of the night. That was for sure. It was brutal, and I think it was a great way to wrap up this Punk and MJF story. And going, you obviously from here we have a continuation with MJF and Wardlow, and however that may be done going forward.
This is one of those stories that has a very easy continuation, which is nice because it means the next feuds that follow are going to be very easy to work together. All right, so this brings us, Brett, you were right on the money with this being a relatively short, 26 minutes, but short for the type of match
for what
that
it
this is.
Yeah.
26 minutes, CM Punk won, 2 points for you. Now, I thought this was overall the best match of the night that we've seen so far.
I think so, yeah.
Possibly the best match of the night, period. But it'll take a couple days to mull that over. All right. Next, we had our cooldown match, which unfortunately was the women's championship match between Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa. And you can kind of tell as soon as this match happens, the audience is tired after Punk and MJF. Thunder Rosa comes out with this very...
She looks tired.
She looks tired. The entrance is her normal entrance. She's just wearing more elaborate gear. And as soon as that happens and she gets to the ring and they cut her entrance music off to play Brits, you're like, all right. I kind of forget about this match being important, which is a shame because it is story-wise a big match. It just... It didn't have any of the production support. It needed to be bigger.
Yeah.
Britt.
New woman's title.
Yeah, but for this match, which is weird.
Yeah. I mean, I like the new women's title a lot. I just think this was a weird match to show it off with.
Yeah.
It also absolutely confounded JR because like 3 matches later or something with the World Championship, he was like, what is that bell? Have I seen that before? And Tony was like,
yes.
What are you talking about? What is wrong with you, dude?
Yeah, it keeps going on about it too, bro.
Was there another point later on where like Tony was like it was the opposite? Like Jay said to him like, Tony, what are you doing?
It's yeah, commentary was on point this time.
In all its own special ways.
Yeah. So this match is really, I hate to say it, kind of a nothing match, in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
There was the only things I remember in the match were the interferences.
Yep, because they're really long. Like these, if you do an interference like this, which Britt does have happen in her matches a lot because of her whole group, normally after the first time, Rebel gets ejected or something, right?
Yeah,
like they at least play it up as a thing that's will actually happen. But here, Rebel just does the same distraction twice.
Yeah,
that's super boring, and she gets no rejection or anything from the ring. So it just to me kind of was a failure of planning for this match because I don't know what they had planned to do, but this was a bad set of calls to have happened, especially with Thunder Rosa because it wasn't convincing.
Yeah. This especially because you're in the same company that like the past few pay-per-views they've had like a ref spot where like another ref will come in and be like, oh no, that call was bad. I saw something different happen on the camera. Can we take a look at that again? Or just like, oh, just like I after realizing that you did something while I wasn't looking, the match is going to continue, something like that. It's just weird that like that they'd at the same time be so easily like convinced, like that sort of thing. It's maybe in other promotion land or whatever, but here, especially in a pay-per-view, it's like, is something going to happen with this where like all of Britt's crew is going to get each other? No, because especially you're thinking too. Yeah. I think most people, we all really like Britt. She's a fantastic character. Yes. She's really funny, and she's a pretty good wrestler as well.
We really like both of the wrestlers in this match, right? Like,
yes,
everyone likes Thunder Rosa. Everyone likes Britt.
Thunder Rosa needed to win, or at least like lose more convincingly than just like a couple. I don't even. There weren't like special moves.
Like that was, I think the big thing here is for a lot of the match, Rosa's kind of being overpowered by Britt, and that doesn't really look convincing.
It's because Britt isn't a very like naturally overpowering person. Like
Yeah.
she's pretty good, but I think at
Her
this
whole
point,
story is she uses her cronies, right, to
it's
continually win matches, and that's a good thing for this her championship reign. But you need to work that into the match in a better way than, okay, there's 2 distraction spots and then she wins.
yeah.
Just really felt bad. I think if you wanted to do Britt winning this match, what you needed to do is have Rebel get ejected the first time, and then actually give Britt a clean win. Like, give her a convincing looking clean win, and then work that into Rosa getting angry and having the rematch that they'll inevitably have. I think that would have been much cleaner than what happened here, especially because Mercedes Martinez is nowhere to be seen.
That was super weird. I don't know.
That to
Like,
me was
especially
even stranger because they cut a promo about it recently.
Yeah. If Thunder really is injured, like, and you're trying to use as many like workaround spots to like give her time to like work up the strength to do something, or just like take weight off of whatever is like hurt or something, like that's another like super easy route that you could do. At least to not have Rebel do the same thing twice. At least to have a Mercedes Martinez come out and like do something in Thunder Rosa's stead, or like distract someone else so Thunder Rosa could do like something else that would have made it more interesting. Because I know this is in like the dead zone of after probably the best match of the night. Probably most anything that they put here would be like mostly
It's
looked
the
over.
death zone, legitimately.
Yeah,
and I
but
think you can tell a
still,
lot
like,
about this because they put. I think they knew this was not going to go over super well because Jade Cargill and Ty Conte was in a much better spot, and I think they knew that Jade would not have been in a great. Like, I'm just curious to know what the logic was, because I think Jade could have made the dead zone feel more alive if they put her here, but at the same time, then they still have to put this match earlier, and that kind of kills momentum.
Yeah.
It's just such a strange match with the way it ended and everything. So, all right. Any other words about this match?
So what I mentioned earlier, apparently it's like, is it Layla Hirsch versus Thunder Rosa for a #1 contenders match they're gonna do?
Yeah.
And Thunder Rosa accidentally tweeted the other day, and that got deleted. Apparently, whoever wins that match is going to be in a cage match against Britt Baker.
Oh,
that's news.
This is weird to me, because it would be weird for Layla to get that far and then just get immediately snuffed out before she can even get her hands near the goal. But it would be really weird for Thunder to lose a big match and then lose against
Layla Hirsch.
Unless they go the route where like Layla's gonna like cheat super hardcore, and then when she finally gets to fight Britt, it's like she doesn't even have a chance and she gets like destroyed or something. But that's still it's not, it doesn't feel satisfying to think about.
Right?
It's not. Yeah.
And I do want to add on to this that I think this also felt a little weird because it wasn't a gimmick match. And as much as like AEW doesn't do gimmicks all the time, I think having this match in a match with 2 other title defenses that are not gimmicked makes it feel very similar when nothing really interesting is being done with the format here. So I think of any match on this card that could have used some kind of stipulation, this match is the one that could have used it. So I've seen some people saying that maybe they wanted to have Britt win because it's in Florida, which I don't know. Sure, home state, I guess.
She's in Pittsburgh. That's
Pittsburgh, well, I think her practice is in Florida, isn't it? Something like that.
Oh, is it?
Maybe.
Yeah.
So
maybe.
It's hard to tell. I could be wrong on that, but someone was saying that maybe it was something to do with Adam Cole. I don't know, but this whole match was a bit of a mess.
Yeah.
But Brett, you got a point for this match because you didn't pick it.
Yay!
I thought that Darissa would win. So you're now ahead. All right. With no Mercedes Martinez doing anything, so nobody else gets any other points. Then we move on to Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley.
We're back up.
Really cementing that the Death Zone was the women's championship match.
Yeah.
really, really good match again. It's hard to imagine this match would not have been incredibly good with these two.
Yeah.
It's worth pointing out that I think Danielson did a really, really good job of facial expressions this match.
Yes.
And really, really selling both being angry and very surprised at certain times.
Mm-hmm.
And man, Moxley looks good in this match too.
Yes.
I think this is like the first time we've seen him go hard since he's back.
Yeah.
And it works.
So, some of the kicks in this match were crazy, especially from Mox to like Danielson. Yeah. It was crazy.
Looks very convincing. There's so many different sequences here that I think are really good, and a lot of back and forth that really sells that both of these two are crazy talented veterans.
Yeah.
And this is one of those matches that you're just like, anyone could win this and I'd be very happy. Mm-hmm. Our actual finish to this match, I thought was a good way of making it out that these two were pretty evenly matched, and yet neither one of them was really that tired at this point.
Yeah.
So I wonder if this works into something else in the future once presumably the faction is created and implodes at some point. So I think it's definitely something we're gonna call back to in a year or two.
Which faction? Who's in the faction? What random call could have possibly come true to make?
I was gonna leave some spot open to talk about other spots if you two want to talk about spots before we get to the finish of this. Any other crazy spots we want to talk about before we talk about the finish? Because there's a
lot of really good. It's a lot of good fundamental wrestling here. I don't know,
a lot of chain wrestling.
Not like a lot of big spots with, like in themselves, or like this is like how brutal they were to each other is like the draw here. You know, they're like bloody. It looks like they're like actually like hurting each other. And this going again with how clean all the chain wrestling was, especially like in the ending sequence, because that leads to like the end of the match and like having the label lock on for a bit, and then switching it over to a different submission because he thinks he's going to be getting the win, and it plays great to Danielson's character because how many times has he won with just other submissions instead of just one?
I mean, that's what our prop bet this time was how many distinct holds was he going to get in the big sequence. And it was actually a small number this time because he had a couple sequences here where he would go away from a hold into a similar hold, then back to the original hold.
Yeah.
He did that 2 or 3 times, so it was actually only 3 this time around that were distinctly different. Yeah.
And again, just like with it, like such a quick like flash pin of sorts, and like it was just so surprising for both of them. And you see like all of Mox's blood across all of Danielson's abdomen, is like covered in it.
Yeah, it's really, really convincing, especially the whole bleed with me thing.
Yeah.
So it was hard to do because this is following a very bloody match earlier in the night. So you can tell they probably didn't go as hard as they maybe originally planned to, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Maybe. I think it worked well.
Yeah.
Now, Ryan.
Definitely.
After Moxley manages to pull out the quick win here, we're going, these two aren't going to, be a faction together because they're fighting. You see Danielson doesn't think he actually won because Danielson's super surprised and is like ready to continue the match. And then Moxley's also just kind of like, it's over. They start fighting each other. And what crazy call did you make during the pre-show?
Absolute madman.
None other than the main man, William Regal, comes walking basically not like through an entrance, just off the side of the ramp, just looking angry as all hell.
He just appears in a suit and gets upset.
Hey, the look of disgust he has on both of their faces.
He just beats them up.
He gets blood on himself.
He slaps Mox, headbutts him, goes and then while like Danielson is like clapping, like, yeah, you're on my side. And he just slaps him too.
It's wonderful.
It's so good.
I mean, if this is actually a William Regal led faction, best thing in AEW near instantly, I think. We finally reached the true NXT takeover.
Yeah. And he's just such a good person to have. like backstage because of how like smart he is, and
Yeah.
you know, like he's invaluable, and he's gonna do perfect with this faction, especially if they're gonna be picking up some younger people, like as like Brian
Yep. Because I
originally
believe,
said.
was it part of the media scrum that Tony Khan said Ring of Honor will likely be a developmental-ish territory for
Yeah.
AEW?
Mm,
So I'm
Yeah.
curious to see if he's going to be involved in that as well.
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
be interesting. But I know this is coming off of the show. This is one of the most things I'm excited to see going forward.
Yeah. It's crazy to think we got both Swerve and William Regal in the same night. And
Yeah.
I think like Swerve people knew was coming. William Regal is one of the ones where I'm just like, how did they
Yeah.
get this to happen? At such a perfect time too. Because I think I can't think of anyone else who was actively predicting that would be how William Regal debuts.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely great match. William Regal showing up is very exciting. I love that they kept the ring around the entire time in this. You can see it's just covered in blood at this point. So, yeah, super interesting. All right, with that, Brett, you are now up 3 points total because you predicted
goodness.
2 things right with this: Moxley winning, and there would be 3 distinct holds.
Give Ryan a point for William Regal if you didn't already, though.
Oh
Let's
yeah,
be honest.
he's getting a point for William Regal. I counted
Okay,
that for him. That was his.
That is like
William
a
Regal
random
and,
shot on
and
the
Swerve
dartboard.
Strickland.
Showing this.
He predicted
God.
which match it would happen in correctly both times.
Absolute madman.
No information. Yeah, incredible appearance. All right. After this is where you would normally have another cooldown match. Of course we don't. We're having Matt Hardy, Andrade, and Isaiah Cassidy versus Sting, Darby, and Sammy Guevara. This match was way better than I think a lot of people were expecting it to be.
Yeah. I mean, you see so many old
tornado
timers
tag rules
show
as
up.
well, so it's just
Yes, tornado
everyone's
tag
active
rules.
all the time.
Yeah.
You see so many old timers showing up in AEW, and I would suspect it, among other things, Sting is probably one of the big reasons that they show up, because Sting is the most powerful 62 going on 63-year-old man currently alive on this planet, because there is nothing he cannot do at this point. I'm convinced that he's like he's just as good as he used to be.
Yeah.
I mean, he just looks a little older and he wears a long sleeve shirt now. That's the only difference.
This match to me really felt like a live and slightly less choreographed Stadium Stampede.
Yeah.
Where it was shorter, it was a little bit tighter, and they were staying within the arena itself, but they used it really well. They were all over the place. Sammy Guevara and Isaiah Cassidy got a great spot at the top of the entrance ramp, which was very, very convincing. And
the start of the match was Darby shooting out like a cannon and just taking Andrade
as
over
always. He just like runs to the ring, and then you see him clear the entire distance.
Yeah.
Just goes airborne.
It's great. Yeah, Darby is... I want to know how he launches himself like that, because, man, it's crazy. Very Dante Martin-esque.
Yeah, there's some crazy spots in here. You know, not in any order. The ones I can just think of is the silly string Isaiah and Mark Quinn did onto Sammy, on the off the barricade on the outside, holding up Andrade's manager in the chair with the trash can, and then Darby just dives into him. Spanish Fly that Sammy Guevara did onto Isaiah.
Legitimately, for a minute, I thought they had died.
It looked like someone hit their head or something, but they're fine in the slow mo.
They didn't hit their heads. I went back and replayed it a couple times. They landed really well, actually. But it looked super convincing. Yeah, great spot. And
then that's like the whole story is, it's just them three versus all of the AHFO, because you're starting to see the Butcher and the Blade and Mark Quinn come out. Butcher slamming Darby against the the barricade
too. That looked bad.
Blade takes Sting to the outside. Butcher and the Blade set up just a cacophony of tables.
4 tables on top of each other.
Yep, they do the classic indie wrestling show double stacked tables.
and they obviously Matt Hardy was trying to throw Sting off of there, but right below them, Darby and Andrade were fighting. Andrade gets
climbing
laid
up
out
the
on the top
tables.
table, and then Sting just gets a sick look in his eyes. He looks down.
You can tell he
jumps up.
looks like deranged at this moment.
Yeah.
His hair is all over the place. His makeup is like strewn across, and he looks like he's going to kill someone.
62-year-old man just jumps off a barricade.
Diving headbutts a table.
Yeah. It was crazy.
Oh my god.
And this led to the end of the match. Darby getting thrown back into the ring with Matt Hardy. Matt Hardy was trying to do the twist of fate with the chair around Darby's neck. Darby does a scorpion death drop onto the chair, and then unfortunately, Darby didn't get like any of that coffin drop.
They replayed
we
it
can look
twice.
past that. It's okay.
And they showed it twice.
See, I could have moved past it very easily if they hadn't replayed it twice.
Yeah.
Yeah. He at most got the back of his neck on
his
Matt Hardy's arm.
You got a really cool backwards headbutt.
Because you can tell Matt Hardy, I think, tried to move back a little bit.
Yeah.
And maybe just did it at the wrong time, because it would have hit fine if Hardy was flat on the mat, but his shoulder was up. So I think it was just maybe some miscommunication as to what's going on with that and how far away he needed to be. Yeah, because it did not look great, but the rest of the match was great.
Really great match.
And you can see Sting getting up and is totally fine, like a minute after leaping from a balcony through tables. Ugh. Excellent. I think this was definitely the type of match needed to round out the show, because it was a lot less intense, but a lot more filled with a lot of spots that were very entertaining, and just getting to show off the people involved. Sting goes on a rampage at one point, beating away Butcher and the Blade, and basically 3v1ing a bunch of people, which I think was very credible with his character. So excited to see where this goes next. I wonder if this is kind of the end of the AHFO, because it definitely felt like they needed this to happen for Matt Hardy to get the big loss that's going to push him to reform the Hardy Boys, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's what this is leading into. Then, of course, you can have Andrade just buying out all of the AHFO and then have some crazy feud between them.
Yep.
All right. Any other thoughts on this match?
I think Sting's jump is definitely spot of the night for me, at least.
Absolutely.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I just can't believe it. That man is insane.
Well, you see it, and then you go, I don't believe that just happened. Then you watch it again and say, I don't believe that just happened.
Yeah,
watch it the third
they
time.
cut to the audience, and the one guy that they have in the snapback is like, oh my god! And it's his face is entire. It looks like he's sweating. He's holding his phone out to take a video. It was the perfect audience member to cut to for that exact moment.
Yeah, it's crazy. Love this set of spots. Very much a type of match that I think it's rare because it looks ridiculous, right? This is not traditional wrestling match, but it's very fun. So glad to see this, and I hope whenever Jeff Hardy debuts, we get something crazy with him too. Because
I can't wait.
Oh, maybe this Wednesday.
Maybe Wednesday, because they've been constantly teasing it.
Yeah,
constantly. All right, with this, nobody predicted that Sting and Co. would win this. Both of you all thought Andrade was going to pin Sammy. So, Brett, against your will, you're getting a point because you were handed Sting and Co.
I guess I'll take it.
But nobody else predicted anything else about this match. I definitely don't think anyone thought Sting would go through 3 tables.
No.
God.
All right. Moving on to our finale, our big AEW World Championship match between Hangman Adam Page. See, I knew this was going to happen. I was going to make a joke about the Adams, and then I preemptively thought of it while I was talking, and that's just a problem. Hangman Adam Page versus Adam Cole. They played up the real Adam versus Adam thing a whole lot during this match. I love the
Yep.
audience chanting "Let's go Adam" near the entire time.
Yeah. And this is Adam too, so this is awesome. So stupid.
My man Chugs maxed out his Halo Infinite Battle Pass.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
shows up in his John Master Chief gear.
Yep.
It's great because it's
Which, hey, this is
only
pretty
like
cool.
2 pieces of the armor. It's like the upper chest piece and then 2 arm pieces, and
Yeah,
nothing
and they
else.
chose to put Master Chief's visor on his crotch, which I thought was a very interesting artistic direction to go in.
It looks good, to be honest. Like,
He
the gear
does
look
legitimately.
very
It looks
good.
cool. Yeah,
It just is super ridiculous. I love how insane this was as a match.
yeah,
And then, Hangman's attire
Yeah,
is obviously taking a statement against the stuff that's going on in Florida right now.
I loved
Having
it.
the rainbow.
The attire looked
Yeah.
great too.
Yeah.
Very, very solid.
I think I also did think like, oh man, this kind of looked like the Bucks attire. I wonder if that's gonna happen there, but
Yeah, nothing with the Bucks this time around.
nothing with the Bucks.
I think
but-
they did talk about it on BTE. Surprisingly, Adam Cole was angry at the Bucks for not showing up in his corner. So we'll see where that leads into. But I do think this was a deliberate choice that they had to not involve them. And I'm really, really glad they're keeping Hangman in the Dark Order intact.
yes,
Because it was a thing that vanished for a while, but now they're back and they seem to be doing well. So I'm glad to see that again. I think they're such a great, weird pairing that can kind of show up and help each other occasionally.
Mhm.
So love that. This match itself, I think, was just a really solid 25-minute wrestling match, comparatively. There wasn't a lot of shenanigans going on. It was just really, really good all around without needing to rely on crazy spots. I do think they did a better job of Adam Page looking more ready for the defense this time.
Yeah,
If that makes sense, because a lot of the time Adam Page kind of walks out looking a little bit stunned as to what's going on because he's been in like death matches, right? So
yeah.
it's been crazy. But seeing him show up to a regular match and look very prepared, and you can tell he's going in angry and like ready to go, I think looked really good. He was super offensive this time and not biding his time like he usually does.
Yeah.
Because I think he's realized that he no longer needs to play the underdog and everything. And can kind of actually look like a convincing champion. I think this match did a really good job of selling him as a champion.
Yeah, he looked a lot more confident as a character this time around, for sure.
Yeah. Especially because this is like a personal feud. So I think this is definitely a good defense from Adam Page and good little tease for whenever Adam Cole eventually gets a championship.
Yeah.
I think that'll be fun too. But I really like the direction they took with this match. I think the lariats that were happening, Adam Cole did a great job of looking like he died.
Yes.
He gets like 3 rotations at one point. It's great.
Yeah.
So,
The,
any other
the
spots
back and
people wanna call out?
forths. The back and forths in general, if I can just like, because there's not one time that it happens. There's like
It's
3
all- the
separate
entire
times where
match,
they just
basically.
like, yeah, they're running back and forth and they're like dodging the kicks or the lariats, and then one of them gets back with like multiple of the others, something like that. It's so satisfying. They pull it off really well.
Yeah, I got to sell too the camera work in this match because I think there's a
Yeah.
couple of spots here where like Adam Page is running in preparation for hitting a lariat, and you can see the camera crew just running with him and like keeping the steady
Yeah.
shot. And I think that looked really impressive when they did it. Only thing I got to complain about with this match, the crowd doesn't seem to get the face dynamics.
Yeah.
Sometimes because they start booing Adam Page for putting the belt on the ring and using that to keep Adam Cole on the ropes the same way that was used against him the other night. And
Yeah.
he was getting like very loud boos for a lot of this. And I was like,
It's because people like Adam Cole a lot, I think.
yeah,
It's
it just
weird.
felt odd because it made the scene have a different feel than it probably should have because it's meant to be cowboy revenge, right? It's not a Adam Page is turning heel thing. So
Yeah.
I do think anyone who took Adam Page's turning heel out of that is probably not correct.
Yes.
So, I just wanted to point that out. But yeah, I love the finish to this match. I really like how good Page looked this entire time.
Mhm.
They were not afraid of giving him a lot to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Any other thoughts? Oh, all right.
Yeah.
I do.
Sorry,
Again, I just opened it up and looked at Adam Cole's entrance gear again, and man, it looks so goofy.
It does. I said this to I said this to Wrestle Ryan, but I was like, I just imagining him going to the AEW seamstress lady and just being like, "Hey, could you make my costume look like Master Chief from Halo? Can
And then she
can you
goes,
make
"You're definitely Kenny Omega's friend."
Yeah. You're definitely Kenny Omega's friend. That's awesome.
I mean, look, I love the video game gear because this had a lot of it. Jade and
Yeah.
her Jade outfit. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of cool gear choices this time around.
Mm-hmm.
All right, any other final thoughts on this? Cowboy shit, Bay signs had me real happy.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Awesome
All right.
show.
Yeah.
So, you guys talk for a second while the vacuum does it.
Yeah, I can hear.
Yeah, I thought definitely, I think from beginning to end, in terms of just quality of wrestling, it was definitely one of the best ones that
Yeah.
AEW's done. Now I feel like things like All Out or Full Gear maybe had some better highs, but I think consistently throughout, I think what we only didn't like one match here, and it was just
and that match is the one that like felt deliberately put out to die.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. So
overall very good.
For a 12-match card, 3 of them being in the pre-show, like this was super consistent
5 hours
throughout.
the entire time, and very little downtime.
Yeah.
Like this was definitely the pay-per-view I felt the most where I would have liked like just put a 5-minute break at some point in the show.
Yeah.
Because you hit a couple points where like after the midpoint, especially the match with MJF and CM Punk, I was like, give me like 2 minutes to reset after that. Nope.
Had to go to the bathroom.
Yeah. So I think this was evidence they need to do at least like one video package in the middle of the show where you can go and do something else. But aside from that, great time.
Yeah.
Definitely worth the money, I'd say.
Absolutely. And with this, that brings Brett, you're up because you predicted that Adam Page was going to win. You also correctly predicted the time of this match almost perfectly. 25 minutes. It was 25 minutes and 48 seconds by my count. Damn. Brett, you're the champion. You're up 5 points. Even if we gave 2 bonus points each for Swerve Strickland and William Regal showing up, which I did, you are still the victor.
Oh man!
Possibly a lot of that is because a lot of the reverse of what we thought would happen.
Yes, yeah. A lot of them is I got stuck with the reverse, but like even during the pre-show episode, I was like, man, I mean, I can't argue against this. That's definitely what I want to happen and what is going to happen. It just didn't.
Yeah,
but hey,
because it was hard to predict this card. I think a lot of these matches could have gone either way. CM Punk and MJF, great story no matter who wins. Chris Jericho and Eddie Kingston leads perfectly into other things regardless of who wins. Face of the Revolution ladder match, you can build, even though Wardlow is like the heavy favorite, I could totally see Keith Lee winning. Yeah. So there's so many different things here that could have happened.
No title changes also.
Yeah.
Which is worth pointing out, I think.
Yeah.
First AEW pay-per-view with no title changes.
Got to make the precedent.
Yeah.
Curious to see though if the thing I'm really curious for is, do they extend Britt's championship until the next pay-per-view? Or end it in the mid bit? Because I think Tony Khan knows people are starting to kind of mellow on Britt as the champion, just because it's been the same thing for like a year at this point. And that's not a knock on Britt, because I think she does what she does very well. It just feels like we need a mix-up in the title scene, especially with so many really credible people coming up, and Thunder Rosa getting beaten. Just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Is this going to turn into a blood feud that gets resolved in the next like month and then title change, or are we going to wait until next pay-per-view?
Kind of hope it happens as fast as possible, just so that we have a different person with the belt. Because again, I really like Britt, but it needs the environment that she's in has to be different for her character to remain like interesting.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, it is just the same thing. She needs like different people to really be.
And she has like a built-up storyline. Her faction implodes, and she can fight all of them. So
exactly, yeah.
I think that's a good starting point for it. As of right now,
Yeah.
I think she's still pulling in a lot of views. So
Yeah.
Yep. All right. With that, I think we've covered everything. Overall thoughts on the show from everyone. Is this a 5-star AEW show? How's it feeling for you at the end of it?
I think 4.5.
Yeah.
4.5 seems good.
For me, this had like 3 5-star matches, and then just some decisions were made.
Yeah.
Specifically with the women's belt that rubs me the wrong way pretty heavily, because I'm like, it's just a hard thing to do on a card this good to have a match like that sent out to die. And then of course there were like a few technical issues and whatnot. Overall, really good show. Definitely worth picking up if you haven't seen it. I think that's it. We did it. Any other thoughts about the show? As the outro plays, as always, Tuesday morning, 7 a.m. Eastern, is our regular podcast. Next week, the three of us are going to be talking about Elden Ring.
Ooh.
We're finally all beating it and are ready to go.
It's time.
So that'll be coming out.
Our longest episode at 6 hours of Elden Ring.
Hey, very much might be split into multiple episodes.